Society?
Strangers. Strangers in society.
Strangers on the internet?
The secret.
Strangers.
Society. Oh, welcome, stranger.
Secret to society. Strangers.
Society.
Welcome to the secret society.
Strangers?
Welcome to the Secret Society of Strangers podcast. We have another guest episode today. I'm here with Jamie, of course. Josh, our third, another hang up. He couldn't make it. We're all very disappointed. We miss you, Josh. Wave to Josh out there.
He had a car. He was the one with the car problem this time.
Yep.
We're too electromagnetically powerful.
You're polar opposite. You both couldn't have it functioning at the same time.
It's too much.
So we have a very special guest with us today, Aether Candace. She is a ordained minister, a Reiki master, an intuitive performance coach, a psychic, and a medium, a writer as well, I think.
Yes.
All right. Did I miss anything?
Trauma-informed coach.
Trauma-informed coach. All right.
So I haven't added that to the website yet, but that's there. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, those are a big umbrella of things to deal with a lot of emotions in humans, I feel like.
Yeah.
Well, we're fascinated to know a little bit more about you. So if you want to introduce yourself a little bit better than I did, go ahead.
So I am Aether Candace. You can find me on Amazon. I have 2 books on there, one under Aether Candace, one under Candace D. Henry, which was my first married name. Those books are full of poetry relating to the healing experience. So if you're a person who is just going through some shit, that's for you. The books are, feeling feelings that maybe you aren't comfortable admitting to, essentially. That's pretty much what I'm about in that realm. But on the metaphysical side, I have a company called Trine, and Trine represents you being empowered, your abilities to manifest, to heal, and to protect yourself. We do readings, we do Reiki, retreats, events. It's all over the place metaphysically, but essentially the goal is to help more people understand their personal power and what they can accomplish with their own body.
I'm all about it. Like I say, I think I say that every episode. Like this podcast is like my journey into all that.
Yeah,
so it's fascinating learning about all this stuff. How did you get started in this, if I may ask?
So I guess you would say it was just with me. I started at about 5, just discovering that I'm a little different. And so my household was not a household where we discussed these things. So I was just having these experiences and not really knowing what was going on. My parents would always be there for me when I would be scared, but it would be like, I had a bad dream or I'm scared. And that would be that, just go get in the bed and call it a night. But in reality, when I saw the movie The Sixth Sense, I was like, well, shit. Because I was having those experiences. His were more like a clairvoyant medium experience. And I was able to feel the presence of things that I could not exactly see. I was having these very strange dreams that I couldn't understand. Down the line, I would learn that I have psychics in my family. It's just not something that people talk to me about when I was younger. So I was very much an adult when I found out about who they were and the types of things that they would do to like warn other family members of things and things like that. So it wasn't like anything like what I do. It was more of a let me protect my family by informing them type thing. And they faced a lot of, well, one family member faced a lot of ridicule. Kind of, there's a, when you have a heavily Christian family, you have people who see it as a gift and you have people who see it as a problem. So it's just that. So they faced a lot of ridicule for that. The other one on the hand was more of a matriarch. And so my presence, doing the things that I do is bringing up a lot of things that kind of left when she died. So keep in mind, she was gone before I came. So I'm just doing me. But they're like, oh, I remember when she used to do this. And wow, she used to have those. And I never met her. You know, I was born 82. She died 78.
Wow.
So, so that was where it started. And there was the curiosity of like, okay, what is this? And so I was like, you know, I'm pressed to learn to read. My mom said I came home like crying from the first day of school because I didn't know how to read yet. Like I thought that that's what was going to happen. But
You just go the first day and learn.
Yeah. Like,
First lesson. Flawless reading.
So I just knew that there are things that I wanted to know, like whether that was related to this gift or not. But that's just like the passion that I've always had was to learn. I've taught myself many things, but ultimately, you know, being responsible and, you know, aggressive about learning. So the minute that I could go to the library by myself, you know, and do things on my own, that's when I dug into the paranormal, the gifts, ESP. And there's this book, a series of books that I encourage grown people to read, but it's made for teens. And it's by a lady called Lois Duncan. And they turned, I Know What You Did Last Summer, right? That was one of her books. They kind of like distorted it and turned it into a crazy horror film, like a Scream vibe. But it's really like, that's not what she was about at all. She was very much a teacher through novels. So if you ever wanted to know what the human possibilities are, they're in all her books. They're mystery novels for teenagers. And so I got into every single one of them. I had the library sending me books from across town like all the time because I wanted those books, and they helped me kind of go down the rabbit hole of understanding like what I do want to learn and what I don't want to learn. You know, there's some things that I'm just not interested in getting into. But there are other things that I'm all about. And so that's where I was like, I'm kind of freaked out about this, kind of freaked out about that. But because they're mystery novels, they did kind of show you the low frequency side of some gifts and the high frequency side of some gifts. So I'm like, if you ever want to take that trip, I mean, Lois Duncan books will do it for you. They're just not as easy to find as they were back in the 90s.
That's interesting. She found a way to like get her information out there. And probably if it was an adult audience, I don't think they probably would have been as interested or picked up on it.
I don't know.
Intuitive.
It's hard. Well, yeah, it's hard for me to gauge her level of popularity because at the time, you know, the 90s, internet wasn't what it was. So it's hard, always hard to tell like how popular something was from, because you're kind of isolated. Back then, we're kind of on a little island by ourselves. The last, can't say it's the last book, but the last book I read of hers is because Who Killed My Daughter? And that's a true, like a nonfiction book where she goes into, tapping into all of the psychics that she worked with to create the novels and use their knowledge and their gifts to help her discover who actually killed her daughter. So
I was just looking, we did a paranormal episode and I was looking into mediums who have solved or helped solve cases. No explanation. They just know. It's amazing.
Some of them work with police departments.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them work in government agencies.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So it's fascinating what can happen, but also I think what's equally fascinating is the lengths that people go through to downplay it,
Right.
to make it seem
Agreed.
evil, to make it seem like it's not normal. Like for me, this is everybody has these gifts. It's
Right.
just who's tapped in. Some people are born tapped in.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have to do a lot of uncovering to get to their gifts, and that's
Mm-hmm.
essentially what I do. Is I help people tap into that.
Okay.
So from 12, from there, moving on, figuring it out. But once we get to about 18, I've already got my tarot cards. I'm driving and doing my own thing, and buying books because I had a job and I had the money to buy these books to go deeper. And that's when I started doing readings. I wasn't really getting paid for them, but just doing.
Like friends and family kind of thing, helping
Friends
people.
and family, doing the little "Are you psychic?" quizzes that you
Right.
find in these books. There's a deck that I love, and it's Kabbalistic Tarot,
Yeah.
and Kabbalistic Oracle deck.
Mm.
I went through a phase where, and I think a lot of people who are like this, you go through a phase where you kind of question your spirituality. You learn a lot, and then that also makes you question where you fit spiritually.
Mhm.
And so from there, you're just kind of like, ugh. I went through this phase where I threw all my stuff away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How old were you at this point?
Somewhere about like 20.
Okay. And what made you throw them away? Why did you turn away from it?
I was conflicted. First of all, I was experiencing a whole
Mhm.
lot.
And you were like, I need to shut this down for a little bit. I need a break.
I was questioning everything.
Oh, okay.
It was like around the time that like Stigmata came out. I don't know if you guys ever saw that.
Yep.
Highly recommend
Yeah.
it.
Rose, Patricia Arquette, who
Yeah.
also starred in Medium, the TV show, where she was in police departments.
Yes. Okay. So watching that, and keep in mind, I grew up to a point like I watched. Excuse me. I watched my father walk away from the church. So our family, both sides, are typically Baptist. I watched him walk away from that when his father died, and he was like on a quest to understand everything, like history beyond what we were taught in schools, religion beyond what was taught in churches. We just kind of like we followed him. It wasn't always like this is what you do because we do it. He was just always like you have to understand things for yourself. You have to learn things for yourself, regardless of what the institution tells you. Whatever a church says, that's one thing. But read for yourself, discover for yourself. That's the that's what my foundation. So once I got to see that movie, I started to question a lot because I knew about Christianity. I did go to church. I still have families that go to church. Every now and then we might still go without him, of course. But it just kind of freaked me out.
Yeah.
Just like because I resonated with what they were saying. When they were like, split a piece of stone and I am there, excuse me, split a piece of wood and I am there, lift a stone and I'm there. Don't quote me. But I was just like, this makes sense. If you compare what Jesus Christ was actually saying and that move with the where they said that quote came from, it just made more sense than anything I'd ever saw. But back to the deck, I started to have some heavy experiences, like scary.
Negative?
Negative, yeah.
Okay.
And that just kind of like made me just kind of pause on everything, not just my gifts, not what I was doing, not just the readings, but just like, who am I? What am I? And what do I need like right now? Like what is going on?
feel like it was getting beyond your control?
I felt like I was going into a place that I didn't want to go.
Okay.
Because what was happening is I was seeing, it was okay to do like the readings where you're just like, people ask you silly stuff like, and it's not silly, but it's important to them at the time. But does he like me? You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we all want to know.
Meanwhile,
The stuff we all want to know.
we all want to know, right? Yeah. But the stuff that was coming to me was just like, I'm seeing people for who they really are.
Yeah.
And that was hurtful.
Mhm.
Hurtful because they weren't for me.
Mhm.
So I'm questioning my eyes, my ears, my psychic senses, everything. Because I'm like, well, how can this be? I thought we were friends. I thought that this was cool, and and it's just like these people were amongst me. They were living with me. They were this and that, and it was just like, and I could see everything about it. So in hindsight, spirit was just trying to show me, and I didn't want to see, and that's a pattern in my life.
Mm.
Um, and so it just came. It just got weird. It just got very strange. What ended up happening was the gifts never stopped.
Okay.
None of that ever stopped. But what I ended up doing was those people ended up getting out of my life.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily the gift that had to go, it was the people.
Right.
Um, and and again, that's another theme in my life. So it just kind of made me like kind of shake up and just kind of.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a real life experience that happened that just was super strange, right? Keep in mind I had like from 15, I had like fibroids, right? And they knew that, and I used to have like really heavy periods and all this other stuff. And so they were like, it's gonna be difficult for you to have kids when you're ready to have kids. And at 15, who cares, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah. Like,
so
okay.
then time goes on, and out of nowhere, they're like keep checking on them, every year, check on them. And then like I get this, I'm just laying there and like what? I was doing somebody's hair. Yeah. So I'm doing somebody's hair, putting some locks in their hair. Out of nowhere, I just feel ill. I go lay down.
Mhm.
And when I lay down, I just had what they call now sleep paralysis, but I wasn't asleep. I
Yeah.
was wide awake. And I'm laying there just feeling bad, and all of a sudden I just couldn't move. It was just like I'm laying and it's just like, and I'm like, what's going on? And I hear this voice, big as I don't know what. It says, "You will obey God."
Mhm.
And it just kind of freaked me out heavy because it was almost like when I put the stuff down, I was just kind of running from everything. Like, nope, 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 nope. Sure enough, go to the doctor to get the fibroids checked every year as normal. Fibroids gone, not one. And I was just like, well, what do you mean? Because I only know of people having hysterectomies and things like that.
Mhm.
Gone.
Wow.
I was on like the NuvaRing. That so that was like November. Fast forward to February. I ended up pregnant.
Really?
Yep.
It's beautiful.
So I didn't know. I was 21 at the time. Wasn't really prepared.
Right.
21. Wasn't really prepared for that. Kind of freaked out again. And it wasn't an ideal opportune time for
Mhm.
her father or me, and I didn't know what to do.
Mhm.
There were people in my life who weren't necessarily close to me, but knew me, who were just trying to tell me, to do to not have the baby.
Yeah.
And I really didn't listen to them because I was just like, you don't know me.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what happened was I would wake up from these dreams feeling amazing. And in the dreams, it would be her at about 18 months.
You're
So this
kidding.
really pretty, Not playing.
Wow, that's
Really
beautiful.
pretty baby who I couldn't tell if it was a boy or a girl. There was just a pretty baby.
Hmm.
And I was just like, I can't do that. Like I can't.
Yeah.
And so I just wake up from that.
Yeah.
So I had her.
Hmm.
Um she changed my life tremendously. I mean, of course, like most first moms or whatever, but um she anchored me.
Yeah.
Because I very much often felt like Earth was not for me,
Hmm.
um, and I just didn't want to be here.
Hmm.
And she gave me a really, really solid anchor, and I was just like, all right, I'm here. And she gave me a serious engine. Like I really didn't have much direction. Like I was in, college. I went for a year. Um, I went through a lot there, a lot of like emotional trauma and things like that while I was there. Um, but I just after that year, I didn't know what I needed to do or what I wanted to do. I was doing all types of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, she gave me direction. She gave me that engine that I needed to just kind of make things happen. And so from there, it was just like deep into studies. Um, reading around people who I could trust, you know, people who didn't, where I couldn't see that they were destructive or
Yeah.
negative towards. So I wasn't really doing it, for money back then. It was just like, hey, Candace has these cards. Um, over time, it's like all of my kids have like some kind of like psychic story.
Hmm.
I have, so the last two I knew they were there years before they showed up.
Hmm.
I just,
You just
yeah.
know things.
Well, it was like the baby number 3. She was born 2019. I felt her 2015. I could feel her like owning me, like I felt pregnant. And I was just like, the timing isn't right, This didn't happen in this cycle, like that doesn't make sense. But I felt pregnant and I went to my um mentor. And I
Hmm.
said, and my mentor has a different set of gifts. Like when you walk into a room, she can see your entourage.
Hmm.
And your entourage, meaning like all your spirit team,
Hmm.
your ancestors, your spirit guides, everybody. She sees it and she's got like an intense memory. So I'm like, all right, do you notice anybody else here that wasn't here before? And then she just sat there and went like this. And she was like, in your back, in your lower back, it's a little girl. And she said, it's me. I'm here. And I was like, oh, because my marriage was
Chills.
absolutely trash at the time. And so I was just like, oh God, why? And so, but she wasn't there, but she was there. Like I was not pregnant, but she was there.
Hmm.
And so ultimately I feel like she did not come at that time because I wasn't with the right person.
Right.
And that's what a lot of people don't understand is like if they're having problems getting pregnant,
Hmm.
sometimes it has nothing to do with like your mechanics at the time. Sometimes it's a spiritual situation.
Hmm.
You may not be with the right person. You may not are not supposed to be with that person that you're with.
Interesting.
Um, there's so much into like the birth of children outside of like medical mechanics.
Hmm.
Um, I Her father is my current husband. Um, the way things happen with how we met and how we came together is so weird. But in real life, we've been together for multiple lifetimes,
Yeah.
and we got together. I mean, I honestly feel like we were together for me to have the 2 children with him that I had.
Hmm.
Um, but like my son, I knew of him from 2020. He's born 2023.
Okay.
So it's weird and it's wild, but it's just and baby 2 hid from me.
Really?
He was in there for like 3 months. You know.
Wow.
And then she did that on purpose, because she knew that the relationship I had with her father was very,
Mm.
you know,
Mhm.
ex-husband. We 14 years craziness,
Yeah.
but she knew that she needed to wait. And they're all gifted, like all the kids
That's
in
awesome.
Did
their
you
own.
dream about them?
Baby one, yes. 2 and 3, no. 4, I saw him in ceremony.
Mhm.
So 3, I was consciously awake, feeling her like there's somebody here. But 4, I had a plant medicine ceremony, or I was in a plant medicine ceremony, and I was in my womb, like in there,
Mhm.
looking at him, like
Mhm.
as if like I'm just looking at a baby just chilling in the womb. So like probably like maybe like 2-month mark when they kind of have space. And I'm
Yeah.
just in there, like that was my journey watching him.
Wow.
Uh, so it's this type of work can be, or not even just work experience, it can be very sweet and just so adorable, just knowing certain things, and it can be terrifying, so it's just take what you can. And
Point
also there's
did you?
things you, huh?
No, go ahead. Finish.
Also there's things you can do to, throttle these things.
So, at what point did you decide to take it more professionally and get out there and do people
So
that you weren't necessarily in your life?
um 20 hmm, I would say 2000, like 2007, 2008 is when I was doing it more out of my house, like more around people, and like people would give me like tips per se. You know what I'm saying? So about 2012 or so, yes, after the baby, that's when people started coming to my house and like, is she there? Or like say to my husband, like, or is she available? I need to come see her. Da, da, da. And that's kind of how it would be. Um, and then it just kind of grew from there, just in momentum, but slowly. So 2015 is when I officially made it a business, a brand.
Cool.
So my background is like sales and marketing. So I came up with like a name and designed the logo at Canva and built the website and all of that. And I started to see more people, but I was not as focused on readings as much as I was creating magical products and like healthy body products. That's really where the business was centered around, not so much readings, but um, plant-based spiritual products. So like if you want, I make a custom incense for people based on what their goals were.
Mm.
I have like people loved, and it's weird because I had more men buy it than women, but it's
Really?
called Ready for Love. And
Really?
that was, oh yeah. Oh yeah. That was what was fascinating to me, like, more men were, interested in it and, like, buying it b over they were repeat customers.
Hmm.
But Ready for Love is an incense for attraction, so there's literally an herb in there for, like, attracting a husband, like, if you want to draw somebody to you. So, like, a lot of women would get it, but then once the men are like, "Let me smell that. Oh my god, that smells good. Let me get some." And they, like, have that scent to set the mood for, their occasions. Um, so so it was interesting. And then, I did oils, natural body products and things like that. But I got away from body and just essentially focused on spiritual stuff. So at
Mhm.
this point, I don't sell any of those products online. I have them. I just don't. I sell them wholesale. So if like a
Really?
wholesale company or another company is like, "Hey, can I put my label on it?" Do what you wanna
Yeah.
do.
That's fascinating. I'm really,
Mhm.
really impressed that you managed to to do that. Like that's a big deal to start a business, but also to be able to tap into this particular market where you're helping people in addition to having a business.
Well, I've had my very first business that I had was like from 2005
Mhm,
on, a
mhm,
marketing business. I was helping rock bands get online. Like a lot of bands and not just rock bands, like rappers, everything. It was Atlanta, so it's everybody.
mm,
But at that time, everybody was talking about getting a record deal, and I was like, "You don't need a record deal. Like you could do this yourself." And so that was my business, helping them get on digital. So that transitioned into small businesses, which transitioned into corporate. And
gotcha.
so that was the challenge. So, like
Right,
going into corporate America
right.
was very hard. But at the same time, I always had to have my own business on top of that. Like I don't trust companies. So
Yeah.
Sure.
And so now you've transitioned instead of like product, it's more service oriented is what you're doing.
right. So right now we're 100% service to the
Mhm.
public. So like I guess that if somebody wanted to one of those products, they could get them. It just had to be wholesale.
Okay.
But service based, so it's mainly like readings, Reiki, coaching. So coaching is more like people who want help with some kind of spell work or something like that, and they really don't know what to do.
Okay.
Or people who are like, I'm ready to do intuitive development.
Mm,
What can I do?
mhm,
Um, things like that. And usually, when you're doing like intuitive development, that's more of a program. Like there is a course for that.
mhm,
Um, the course is basically teaching the basics of like, well, I couldn't say basics, but things I feel like everybody who's going down that lane should know.
mhm,
Like you should know up protection up and down. You should know the basics of manifesting. You should know all the clairs, things like that, right? But
mhm.
that's not, the course. The
Right.
course is also tapping into you specifically. So the first step is getting your birth chart to understand what you were born with. I have a reading that I do that shows me what gifts you were born with. Everybody doesn't have the same thing.
Mhm.
So then we look at that and say, where do you want to go? Like if you don't have clear audience, but you want to do clear audience, why not? But
Right.
if you have things that are natural to you, why not go with that?
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And what we were really excited and hopeful about as well is you doing maybe a reading for us this evening.
Okay.
Just tapping into these gifts that you're talking about that we would love for you to. I'm open to whatever whatever message you might have for me from the universe. Lee
Okay.
would be
Of
the
course I
same.
am. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I would love to know, like, as you're doing the reading, like, what impressions you're getting. Are you seeing things? Are you hearing things? Are you smelling things? Like, maybe talk about your process as you're doing it. Like,
So first off, I typically, unless it's like an emergency, I typically
mhm,
don't smell things.
gotcha. Okay.
Um, seeing things,
Mhm.
I'll get like
Flashes.
images,
Okay.
flashes, or it might be a scene.
That's what I get.
But
Like right here,
mm,
it's a TV screen where I get a
yeah, so like earlier today,
video
there's a
clip.
lady where I'm seeing like a bull and somebody getting thrown off of the bull.
Hmm.
Like a mechanical bull and somebody with the controllers, and that's like a whole. But that's the scene.
Okay.
So um, it could be um, just knowing, or
Okay.
just even like hearing and things like that.
Gotcha.
So you know what I realize a lot of people don't even know, like they could be getting signals and they're just missing them.
Yeah.
Like you
We're
just don't know what to look
all
for.
capable of it. I think we're all capable of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Trust
you.
yourself, I think, first of all.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly. Trusting yourself, and like half the time, people are just doubting themselves all the time. Like, oh, you're crazy.
Yeah.
But it's just as
The
simple as like turn left
consequences.
out of nowhere. Like, why did you need to turn left?
Right.
I told
Exactly.
you.
What'd you say, Jamie?
Yeah, I know. She said turn left. I said right. Oh, I said earlier, I said, I think you have more guests than you realize than you actually want to admit out
I
loud.
don't know.
Yourself, rather.
I definitely, in the last like year or so, have definitely opened up to like synchronicities and just genuine like intuition, but I'm not seeing or hearing or anything
Oh,
like
really?
that.
You've never heard anything, Lee?
Well, yeah, but
Mm, okay.
see, but again, I just chalk it up to being crazy or like a repeating lyric, but I can't find the lyric.
One
And
time, Lee and
sometimes,
I heard the same thing. A
and
different.
that's another thing. Songs. Sometimes I'll communicate to you through a song. Like you'll hear a lyric, and that lyric is resonating with like something that you have going on.
Yeah, exactly. Song lyrics, time of day, like if the angel numbers. I always think, well, what was I thinking when I saw it? And a lot of
Mhm,
those are clues along the way.
mhm. And sometimes, like people, like somebody might say something to you like that, and then you'll just feel like, what the,
Yeah,
like where is that coming from? But that it was
yeah,
already said to you. It's just that they needed to say it through somebody else.
yeah, very true. And anytime you're like, oh, that was just a coincidence, there are no coincidences. Like once you
Mm-mm.
shift that mindset to there are no coincidences, then I think you start seeing it and hearing it and whatever more.
Mhm.
Hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, I broke out the David Bowie deck, the Starman
My
Tarot.
feet are starting to sweat. That's also a gift of
Yo,
mine. It's when this Holy Spirit's here, my feet get sweaty, but my palms and feet are sweaty right now. So this is
Okay.
this is a real
Um,
deal. Let's do this thing.
okay. So I'm just shuffling. The shuffling is just kind of like resetting the energy of it so that, whatever was going on before it's out. Um, a minor way to reset the energy. There's other ways to go deeper with that, but it's not something you do in front of somebody else. And then just shuffling and guys tell me what you want. What you want to know.
I've never had a reading of any sort, so
Really?
nothing.
That's
Nope.
wild.
He's a medium virgin.
And it's me?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
we're very
Oh, yeah.
excited about this.
So
Like
just so you understand, like my background,
he's
Yeah.
been talking about
this is like not what I thought of as real my entire life. Like
Yeah.
interested in it, fascinated with it, but like never felt I had a true connection or experience to believe it. I'm wrong now, I know that, but this podcast, meeting Jamie, meeting Josh, I'm like going into a really cold lake slowly. Like I'm hesitant to go into it, but I'm just like inching my way deeper and deeper.
I think this is
All right.
exciting, and this is one of the things that he's been seeking out. I mean, literally, that you are a synchronicity because I swear it was like the same morning that he was
What?
in our Discord chat saying, "Oh, I would really love to find a psychic." And then he was saying what he wanted. And I was like, "Do you want a psychic or a medium?" He's like, "I don't really know the difference." And then seriously, I think that's the same day that you sent the email.
I
Amazing.
even asked her in the Reddit chat. It's like, was there a particular reason why you reached out?
I
It was weird that
figured it
morning.
was you.
It was weird that morning. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Oh no. It was just like, huh, they look interesting.
And then for me, Aether, I would love a good just love reading, romance.
Oh, of course.
Mm.
Of course. All right. Well, is there a question that you have, Lee?
I mean, do I have like? See, I don't even know what the proper form is for a question.
For me, Lee, because I have gone to psychics before, is
Mhm.
to say what messages does the universe need to tell me today?
Yeah. What do I
And then
need to know?
let the universe speak, spirit speak through the cards to you.
Okay. So
Or be like, tell me about my career or love or something, but kind of keep it general and then let it flow out of the cards.
all right. So yeah, tell me about my career and the future. What I should
What you should be doing for your career?
expect, or is what I'm doing now going to continue?
Hmm. So the first one is the Emperor reversed. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Emperor is reversed, and I would definitely say like no. This is not, and this I'm looking at all the cards. No, this isn't necessarily going to be what you need. You're going to break away. The Devil reversed. Okay. So when you look at tarot cards, what you have to do is not just look at the card itself, but look at what's next to it because they all work together to tell a story. So it's like the Emperor by itself is like, that's a no, but at the same time, there's issues like with a boss or like some authority figure going on right now. But the Devil reverse is saying that you're going to break away. So in the standard like your Rider Waite tarot deck, you're gonna see two people on chains in the Devil card when it's right side up. With this being upside down, I mean, it's still kind of the same vibe. Like those chains are broken, you're gone. Um, the Princess of Swords is what is next, and she's also reversed. So is the Princess of Swords is like she's swords are of the mental realm. Okay, so always remember that. But with her being reversed in this situation is just kind of like it's not a good fit. It's not. It's off. I would even say somebody's playing with you. Um, Almost like they're trying to get over on you. Um, they see themselves as being more mature, more knowledgeable than you, and they're trying to take advantage of you. And I would that's like the next to the devil energy. So the devil energy, even though it's reversed, it's still kind of the whole. I look at the whole energy of the card, right? Even if it's reversed versus like right side up. And so looking at those two together is just like this is a bad situation for you. It's not healthy, um, and it's also stunting your growth. And so, however, I went ahead because I saw these three coming, and I was like, oh. we we need some more clarification on this because no. So anyway, so then once I pull the other cards, because typically I would just do like three cards and just kind of go from there. But I'm like, the next card is the Empress, and she's right side up.
Okay.
Okay, so the Empress being right side up is kind of like all is not lost for you. It's not like you're going to be gone from this job and you're not having anything else to do. No, the Empress is kind of like you're going to cultivate the experience that you want and that you need. You're going to be able to take care of everything. You're going to be able to do what you need. But ultimately, the world being right next to her, right, puts you in the place to be more of a leader. So you being up front, you being the person that makes things happen. If you look at her, whew, like these cards are so intense. You look at her in her face, she's got like a third eye here. She's got all this stuff going on. So it's just like the version of you that becomes this person that is making things happen and doing everything that needs to be done is not the version of you that you know today. This situation that you're going through with your job is going to essentially change you forever. It can be a hard change, or it can be a soft change. Soft change meaning like, all right, I see this coming. All right, I'm just gonna just keep it pushing and do what I gotta do, or it could be a heartbreaking situation where you let it break you. So what are we gonna do? The Empress in the world say no, we're not gonna do that because now that you are talking to me and you know ahead of time, you know what you need to do. So um padding, like insulation, is what
Mhm.
you need right now. A lot of insulation emotionally, a lot of insulation mentally, because like I said, you're being manipulated and played with at this time. So it's like, um, if you're doing the work emotionally, like right now, to just be like, all right, I see what time it is. Let me just go ahead and mourn the loss of this situation real quick. Let the tears come out. Like, I'm sorry this happened. I'm sorry that I'm losing this. But at the same time, I have to like, do my emotional and mental push-ups so that I can be okay because I still have to fight, another day. And I want to land on my feet. That's the ultimate goal of this is how do you land on your feet?
Yeah,
Um,
good to
and
know.
so yeah, because it's like it's coming, but it's just like how to insulate yourself so that you're not going to break. You're a lovely glass mug. What am I putting around me so that I'm not going to shatter and that I still have a handle and I can still do the work that I love, which is pouring beer into people's faces. Um,
Hmm.
how how am I going to be able to do this and feel good about myself? So
Yeah,
that's
thank you.
that's essentially what's going on.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Do you want to do Jamie next, or I don't know. Does Jamie have a question?
Um, yeah, how does that resonate with you?
It does resonate a little bit. I almost feel like it's a little bit like where I was more than where I am.
Hmm.
Mhm.
You pretty much described like what happened to me to get to where I'm at.
Mm, now,
Interesting.
okay,
So,
okay,
but still, like, I can give you a
okay.
point for everything you told me for how like I ended up where I am now.
Wow. Okay. So let's go into now. Let's go further into now because I feel like I went into the past. Like I'm there, but the timing is different. So let's go to now. Okay. Whew. You feel like moving?
Like my physical location, like move my space,
Hmm.
my home. Always.
Okay. Well, there's a chariot. So the chariot is always a mover. But
There's been talks. Me and my wife have mentioned things recently.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how serious, but the conversation has come up in more than just passing.
okay. The next one we have is the alien. Well, here's the alien. So the alien is reversed. So if you're like a standard tarot person, the alien is more along the lines of the hermit. So the hermit is about deep reflection, deep meditation,
Shut up, Jamie.
going within to like have a deeper understanding, like finding the light, right? So this hermit is upside down, which doesn't mean that it makes it totally different. But when you're talking about the hermit in this sense of moving, is just like the things. It's like I'm seeing like a place that you already know, like you already know, you're already aware of, it's familiar. Um, but it's not something you necessarily like. But it's just something you're familiar with. Like, yeah, I know that place, but I guess. So there's no real enthusiasm behind it, especially when you've got like whew, the Ten of Wands reversed. Let me show
Everything's
you this.
reversed.
No.
Yeah, but this is a good card to have reversed. Like, look at him now. Like, he's got a wand through his back. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So, Ten of Wands reversed. Having a Ten of Wands is just like a defeated card, right? It's just not a positive card. But it's like, if you look at this as in a string, it's like going where you're going is not so bad.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not such a bad thing. You're not going to hate it, but at the same time, you're going to need to be a little careful.
Did that.
Prince of Pentacles. You see the Prince of Pentacles. He's like solid. He's stable. He's got like tons of money and everything like that, right? For you, it's reversed. So with that, it's kind of like you're going to want to be very careful about your spending. You're going to want to be careful of like what it means to move, right? So when we're moving, is this going to make this is it convenience? Is it comfort? Is it going to put us back a step further? And also just kind of being realistic about it, like is it worth it? No. Is it really worth it? You know, the idea, the excitement is there, but like at the end of the day, there's emotional costs that come with moving.
I can see that. Yep.
There's a disconnect that comes with like a lot of that, having to reestablish the roots. Some plants don't survive transplants, you know, like those are
This is true.
a real thing. So there's a move coming up, but you have options. So if I were you, I'd do some real serious research before you make that solid decision. Because it's like now that I'm bringing this to your attention, it's kind of like you know, but essentially the attention that we're bringing to is money and the value cost. Like how much is this going to cost my family emotionally? What are we losing?
Yeah.
What are we gaining?
The move we were talking about would be dramatic.
Are you moving down here closer to us?
No, absolutely not.
You want to come to these Appalachian Mountains, don't you?
It was off this rock, off this continent.
Really?
Yeah.
Where would you go?
Wow.
We really didn't like discuss like we each have our like places.
Right.
Like I said, we've just talked about it because we just hate things.
That's wild because that's a big deal. It would be. There's a lot of emotional costs there in addition to monetary cost. It
makes total sense. I literally just did a TikTok video about this the other day about the things that people don't think about when they leave the United States, right? And so that's where I'm like, there's emotional cost too. Staying out of the country. I've lived out of the country twice. Once as a child, and then actually 3 times, so twice as an adult. look at their local news, look at their police processes, how they handle things in the event of.
Hmm.
Some things you just won't know. Like nobody, told me to look at that. I never thought that, hey, look at that. But look at that.
Yeah.
Like if somebody, also how they treat women.
Yeah, but my wife wouldn't have it. That's
Yeah,
part of
it's
why
not even
we would be
okay.
leaving.
Like some of the countries that you think are cool with women
Mm-hmm.
is a different story once there's like an issue. So
They're not as
that's
progressive as they make you think they are. Yeah.
yeah. I think that's what I ran into is like what I thought was progressive is not as progressive.
Makes sense.
And then and so I had women coming up to me saying like, hey, you guys in America, you women in America are so free and you guys can do this and do that and we can. And I was just like, we can't, because I didn't see them as being oppressed.
Gotcha.
But it's like a deep social thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, emotional cost.
Again, good to know. Going in with armor now.
Yeah.
Just research,
Yeah.
and then talk to other foreign people who are not just Americans either,
No.
but
Trying to get away
other
from it.
people. Yeah. Okay.
So why? But it doesn't mean we're great as a whole organism.
No, and Americans are interesting to look at outside of their natural habitat. So once you see them outside the country, you're like
We're really spoiled, I think, for one thing.
Yeah.
entitled.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All of the above.
Yeah.
Well,
I went out of town this what?
No, I was just thanking her because
that was really good. That was really powerful. It was spot on. I mean, like, I don't know all of your stuff, Lee, but there was a lot, Aether, that you were saying that I was like, yeah, that's Lee.
Yeah. Sometimes like, when you do that first read, sometimes it's always better to be like, hey, what do I need to know?
Mm-hmm.
So we can kind of pinpoint. Because sometimes time can be a thing. It just happens.
Yeah.
And so normally, like if you were one of my clients and that happened, I would, usually they'll say exactly, well, yeah, that's what it was, and I'll say, okay, well, let's do it again. And so usually in a half hour's time, we might do, depending on what's going on, we might do like 3 different spreads, depending on how deep we're going,
and just getting clarification of what
clarification, understand, what spirit, because sometimes like even if you watch like Long Island Medium, she might say something and it just might need like a little bit of clarification because you're getting this communication, it's coming out here, and then you're like, what? And so
and I have an interpretation too of the reading, Lee, is that I think Spirit was trying to take like the enlightenment stuff that I think it was the second card of the second pool. That none of what you're experiencing now would really be possible had you not gone through the difficult times that you went through. You wouldn't have the time to spend researching and doing all the things that you need to do if you weren't in this position now. So for you need to reframe anything that was sad or made you angry and be grateful for it. And that's how Spirit really works.
And also a level of appreciation of like where you've come from.
And how far you have evolved. You have developed your gifts, and you are still developing them, and to be appreciative and don't compare your journey to anyone else's journey. It's your own path, and it's one that you created for yourself before you incarnated here anyway. So
and that part is, Jamie, that's where I'm coming from, and it's a hard door to
I know.
It opens and it shuts and it opens.
But you can trust yourself. So always.
Thank you.
Oh,
Ready?
ready. Give it to me. Got sweaty hands and sweaty feet.
I'm
Pits were a little
more
sweaty
interested
earlier,
in yours than I am in mine.
aren't we all? Okay. Give it to me straight, universe.
I want to do The Last Unicorn. Have you
Ooh,
ever
love that one. I haven't seen that
Yeah.
deck.
You
I
guys
have
have
not.
seen everything.
Seen the movie?
No,
Oh,
I have not seen this deck. No, no.
Oh, the deck or the movie? What are we talking about?
Well, have you seen the movie? And I'm using the deck on you.
Oh, yeah. The Last Unicorn. I do remember that. Is that from like the 80s?
Yes, it's on
Yeah.
Peacock right now. You can watch
Okay.
it.
Yeah. I definitely saw that as a child. I was obsessed.
Yeah. I'm drinking the tears every time.
Yeah.
Okay. So love life. That's what we want. Romance.
Yes, please.
Mm. So love life is looking good.
Girl, you know it.
Looking good. 8 of coins,
Okay.
which is pentacles. So 8 of coins is like an abundance card up and down. Lots of love, lots of appreciation, adornment.
Food?
I think I may be moving out of the physical nourishment into the spiritual nourishment.
Yeah.
Mhm. It's more important. That's what I'm learning.
Then we got judgment next to it,
Okay.
right? So it's not necessarily like a bad thing at all. It's just kind of things kind of coming to a head.
Yes.
Especially
Okay.
next.
Mhm.
So this is where I'm like, So 5 of Swords. Okay. So 5 of Swords is um not necessarily good. 5 of Swords is kind of like somebody get away with something. So this is me just kind of reading off like card meanings, right? But
Okay.
if we look at it as a whole, right, we got judgment in the middle, 8 of coins on the side, and then 5 of swords. So we're looking at this situation as a whole. It's kind of like you need to get down to the bottom of some things,
Mhm.
or accept things how they are, which is kind of like you're being treated lovely, you being treated, like a princess and receiving all the things. But at the same time, it's kind of like got to pull the curtain back and just kind of see
Mhm.
what's really going on. And so what's really going on is like it's not necessarily like somebody's doing something to you. It's more along the lines of like an intention. Like
Mm.
they're not saying like I want to treat her bad or anything like that. It's just kind of like their mindset is not the same as your mindset. Like
Mhm.
have the word that keeps coming up is jealousy.
Mm.
Jealousy. Like they're not necessarily the type of person that's like all their good deeds aren't necessarily for the things that you think they're for. The intention is not what you think it's for. Um, be careful with that.
Can we get some clarification on that one?
Yeah, let's do that.
And do you think these cards are saying like between two people, like it's two different people, or is this one
This
man?
is we're talking about one particular person.
Like the spread
Well,
together?
it's kind of like this. So this one, the Eight of Coins represents you right
Oh,
now,
oh,
right?
okay.
You're in a great place. You're being loved. You're being treated. Da, 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 da. Like that's you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like, say you're making some candy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you got the candy being made in the pot, and you got to boil stuff down. That's kind of what you need to do right now. It's kind of boil things down to kind of figure out what's
Yeah,
really going on.
gotcha.
Because in the midst of everything, you have somebody who's not doesn't isn't doing things for like the right reason. So like judgment is like, hey, let's just get down to the bottom of it and see
Okay.
what's going
Yeah, I would like
on.
clarification on like what is the reason?
So it's so weird. It's so weird because it's like you got some of the most amazing cards you could see in a love reading, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
next one's Three of Cups and Ten of Cups. Like, come on now, it's beautiful, but then it's Ten of Wands, which is heavy conflict. And look at who this is.
I can't tell.
Hold on. There we go.
Oh, he doesn't look good.
No, he's like the villain. So check this out.
Okay.
Somebody's not in order. Like somebody's the bad guy. So say you got multiple guys. You have the guy. You have a good guy. You have somebody who's being great.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, somebody's playing in the field who's not who you think they are. So it's kind of like this. This is how these readings are done.
Okay.
What you need to know, how to raise the situation to a higher vibration, and
Mm-hmm.
what's underneath it all. The
Okay.
two cards that represent what's underneath it all are not good cards.
Okay.
Okay. So with you having these two cards,
Mm-hmm.
Three of Cups, Ten of Cups,
Mm-hmm.
which are great cards, and it's like this consistent pattern. Being with the first card is a great card. The second card is like how to raise it to a higher vibration. So it's like you got to put the gas on the good guy and then expose the bad guy. So they're gonna have to run some like emotional tests per se to be like to kind of smoke that person out. So it sucks. I don't like emotional tests. But at the same time, it's like it's getting down to the wire, and you're gonna be able to see a huge red flag very soon.
Okay.
That you can't necessarily see right now because it feels good, it all looks good, but one of them is like, no, it's like somebody you wouldn't deal with ever.
So thank you, Aether, for your reading there.
Yeah,
You're
thank you very
welcome.
much.
Yeah.
You're good. So what I would go ahead and say is you tapped into exactly what my questions were. I feel like you were reading my mind. I feel like I have absolutely like tremendous clarification, and also intuitively I already kind of knew what was going to happen anyway, but it's always good to have someone else. Like I just had been feeling a feeling all day, and I kind of knew where this was probably going to go. But thank you so much. Like you're the real deal. And
Oh, thank you.
yeah. Like my feet get sweaty when real things happen, but my hands
No meter.
are like, yeah. That's my other gift is to sweat. You know what that is. I'm class sweaty.
They're sweaty. Everybody has a thing, like a body trigger that they have. For me, if I feel like there's wind, like a breeze around my heart,
Interesting.
that's a thing for like something good.
Yeah.
Around things around my throat, like an intense feeling in my throat.
Yeah. It's just why maybe
Sometimes
why you were coughing earlier.
No, actually,
No.
I have it's like a side effect of like some medicine that I take.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And my doctor was like, "Oh yeah, that's probably because of this." So I usually have to like I drink way more water now than I normally do.
Yeah.
Like more than what people want, but just because I'm like constantly clearing my throat to make sure I'm not
Yeah.
dealing with any craziness. But yeah,
That's great. Well, thank you
well,
so
yeah,
much. Thank
you're
you. I
very welcome.
really appreciate this. This was illuminating and very interesting. And yeah, you're the real deal.
If
Yeah.
you could give any advice to someone wanting to become more in touch with the spiritual side and more intuitive, like what would be some of your starting information for that person?
Um, work on yourself,
Mm,
like face yourself. Um,
It's hard.
mhm,
it is, but that's where the weightlifting is. You know what I mean? Like that's the bodybuilding of psychic, the psychic world. That's the gym. Facing yourself, looking at
mm,
your all your flaws, your
mm,
shadows, your lights. You know, because that's why like I can't stand the whole like love and light crowd. You know, like I used to be around a lot of people like that. Love and light, but light is blinding. It can hurt too, you know?
mm,
So being able to see your shadow,
mhm,
that helps because the more you know yourself, the more you'll be able to tap into what you're feeling and what you're experiencing.
mm.
Um, there's tons of exercises to do, but the first step is just like this is me. And because a part of it is like shaking off some of the things that are just whack about yourself, like the
Mhm.
things that you need to release to get up off of you. And that's a regular thing. Like you're never gonna not stop. You're a whole onion. You peel back one layer of some more shit, and it's just gonna keep
Mhm,
happening.
mhm.
Uh, but the deeper you're able to go in, the easier it is for you to tap in. So, is it easy? No. But if you know yourself, you're gonna be able to know your gifts a lot better.
Yeah, yeah.
Totally. I'm trying. I'm trying. All this stuff is just little pieces of information I'm trying to build myself up with. So I appreciate everything.
If I were you, like considering like the things that you have going on, because I know you're gifted, right? I just know it.
Mm,
But it's a matter of what if you take one day and you stop doubting yourself? Like, what if
yeah.
you just spend a whole day and you don't tell yourself you're crazy?
Yeah,
Really nice.
you're 100% right. And Jamie just told me the same thing a couple days ago.
Mhm.
So yeah,
It's kind of like going into like being in recovery, just one day at a time, Lee.
Yeah,
yeah.
one
It's
day at
and
a time.
in all honesty, it's a giant hurdle for me.
But it's just one day. Just one
I
day of
know.
not doubting yourself. And then you tack on another day, and then another day, and then soon enough, you're like, oh,
Just
And
how it is.
I know it sounds very cliche, but when you do have those thoughts or anything, like just open up one of the journal apps or like, on a note app or something that's gonna kind of save it so you can just kind of take notes. Like today, I was
hmm,
told I left and just let it go. And
yeah,
then you just start keeping track. Like I didn't tell myself I was crazy today, but this is what was said. And then you just go from there. Like
Yeah,
it's aside from like the weightlifting of facing yourself, it's that. Like but some people are born with this, you know what I mean? They just come out the womb like ready. Um but those same people could also have all the stuff covered up over them. So like all the trauma, all the doubts, people just piling it on.
yeah,
And then
exactly.
you
Yeah,
got the other half of your life pulling all that stuff off.
yeah.
And it's just like
exactly
it's
what I'm
it's a
doing.
pain. Well, you're good. You're on the path. Next thing you know, we're gonna be like mentalists and all that together. Like,
Maybe one day we'll see. I'll get my astral projection going.
yeah. And have you guys seen Behind Her Eyes on Netflix?
No, I haven't.
I don't think I
Okay.
have.
I
Oh,
challenge.
yes. I watched the whole show. I'm not going to say a word, but yes,
Okay, so
I do
definitely
know.
challenge you to watch that. But
Yes,
when I was talking
watch
about
it.
Lois Duncan and about like her books were showing you like the gifts, I mean like the highs and the lows of the gifts and things like that. She has a book about astral projection, and that let me know like
Mhm,
staying out that lane because um there are things that can happen with that.
mhm.
Okay, so this might be out of school, and this might be I'm like jumping way ahead, but like, should someone wait to try that until they're like more comfortable and have protected themselves spiritually before they try to do stuff like that? Astral project.
I would say learn about protection, how to protect, um, and learn about the what happens to the spirit when you are astral projecting. So
Okay.
understand that, like study it first, because um, things can happen. Things can
I've heard the
happen.
same exact thing. That's yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like I know a lot of people who do it. It's not something that I'm into. And even though it like has as common as it is, as much as people talk about it, mm-mm, I don't mess with
All
that.
right. Well, good to know. Fair enough.
Yeah. But I would love to see like maybe y'all should do an episode about that show.
Ah, that would
That
be great.
that would be interesting because I would be very curious, especially from someone who isn't like currently, psychic, like actively psychic,
Yeah.
like what you think about that
Hmm,
show. Um,
okay.
yeah, um, but yeah, psychic experiences are very interesting. And there's one story I did want to tell you. I don't know if we have time, but
Go
there's a
ahead.
story I want.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so living in Jamaica, okay, and I needed to find a new place. So I found a new place. Um, and there was this lady who was just kind of strange, but I mean, a lot of people are strange, so I wasn't tripping. So she was just like, "Yeah, you could come check out my basement apartment." So it's kind of like the basement led out to the outside, and then
Mhm.
there was like a floor above. So I go
Okay.
down there and I feel the wind in my heart. So the wind in my heart thing doesn't mean like, "Hey, this is great." It just kind of means like you should be here,
Mhm.
you know. So that doesn't necessarily mean like, "Oh, this is where you're gonna be forever." It's just like, yeah, you need to experience this. So I go there and like at the time the whole place was furnished and she was like, "Do you want to have this place furnished or no?" And I was like, "Well, I already have my own furniture. I don't need it furnished." She's like, "All right, this is how much it's gonna cost." All right, cool. So I go, I move in, and it did feel a little weird, especially in a certain part of the place. I'm like, all right, whatever. And I started to feel a presence in the house. I just wasn't too sure about it. Um, but I was just like, all right. It's not here to hurt me. That's my main thing. It's like I can feel a presence, but is it gonna hurt me? No, it wasn't gonna hurt me.
Mhm.
And then she tells me after I moved in, that her son committed suicide down there. And so I was just like, okay. Alrighty. And because that's what the
Be
presence
nice
was.
to know that first.
Yeah. So that's what the presence was. That's what I
Uh,
was feeling. But I'm when it comes to medium stuff, like I said, I'm cautious because I'm like, I can go down, I can open up and go, but I'm like, do I want to? That's
mhm.
the question.
Mhm.
And so that's why I'm like, I was feeling it, and I was just like, pulling back. All right, you're there. Not here to hurt me. Cool. Um, so then once that came into play, it was like October 31st or so. And I'm just walking around the apartment. And then I'm just like, oh, excuse me. Because I felt like I was running into somebody or about to run into somebody. And I was like, oh, excuse me, sorry. And it just felt so weird because it was him. He was just standing there.
Really?
And yeah, and I'm just like, sorry. And so then I was just like, so it was just really weird from then on. So then I would sleep, and then like I'd hear the knocking. And that's why I was like, did it sound like a metal door? Because that's what it sounded like, somebody beating a metal door. Like,
Mm,
door, door.
wow.
And one day she calls me up to talk to her upstairs. Like she cooked me breakfast or dinner or something, Sunday dinner. And she's just like, let's talk. So we're talking, and she explains the story of her son and how he killed himself and why. And she blames herself, and I think she should blame herself. But I'm not gonna get into like that whole story of why. But he was a very depressed guy. He was like the oldest brother. His younger brothers were just like mean to him.
Mm,
And she allowed it. So she spent a lot of time like working overseas, and she'd come back and she built this house and all this other stuff. And at the time I didn't know much about her.
mhm,
Uh, but anyway, she told me how he died, and I was just like, oh yeah, he came to see me. And she was
mm,
just like, what? I was like, yeah, he came, and I told her about the knocking. I told her about running into him, and she was just like, oh. Um, and then after that, she started acting real crazy with me.
really?
Like, because she wanted me out of there. Which I didn't take it as too much of a thing because of how like Jamaican people are
Mm,
about people who have
superstition.
passed, like their beliefs about people coming back to you after they have passed, but it's kind of like a bad thing. Um,
Oh, okay.
they, if you've ever seen their burial services, they don't just dig a 6 foot hole and put people in it. Like they cement and spackle the inside of that hole.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yep. Then when they put the casket in, they cover the casket. I mean, it's like a building a house for a person. So it's like there's the cement walls inside of where the casket goes, and
Mhm.
then a metal, like almost like a gate that goes over it that is also cemented on top of it, and then they put
Wow.
like ceramic tile
Holy cow.
on top. So they're
Yeah.
beautiful. They're beautiful, but a
Mhm.
lot of work goes into it. It's an event, so preparing for like they call it a grave digging. It's a party, but people all come together to do this. So anyway, so I found out more. There's a book I read that gave me more information on the belief system of it. Nobody really told me. I just had to
Mhm.
read it. That was written in the 1930s by
Mhm.
Zora Neale Hurston. Anyway, so I wasn't surprised that she was just like, "Hey, you gotta leave,"
Yeah.
but she just started acting weird. But at the same time, I'm thinking like, you feel guilty. You don't
Mm.
want him to talk. Like that's what it was for me. It was just like you're
Yeah.
guilty. You don't want him talking to me. You don't want him telling me the truth.
Exactly.
Because if you know that he's connecting to me, you know that
Mhm.
he's gonna talk when
Mhm.
he's.
Mhm.
But um, he ended up, I would say, saving my life, honestly, because he was just like telling me to get out. And I just recently watched this show, probably in the past few years, where they're like, when you hear get out, a lot of times it's not even the one, there's somebody's trying to help you, not necessarily like
Mhm.
something like that. So anyway, um, when he said that, I just found a new place.
Good for
I
you.
just, yeah. So it's stuff like that. That's why I'm like, when it comes to medium stuff, it's like I'll do it if it's like an emergency, like with those people that they just booked a regular reading and they're just like,
Mhm.
hey, this and this. The person that they were seeking just was like, whoop, showed up
Mhm.
right because
Mhm.
the drowning was not uh, an accident. It was
Mhm.
like somebody did that to them. You know what I'm saying? And they
Yeah.
wanted clarification, they wanted
Yeah.
direction on what to do.
Yeah.
And so that's what my purpose was to like give them direction on like how to solve that problem. But
Thank.
with that guy with the mom in the basement,
Mhm. Mhm.
so afterwards, that's when I learned more about her. Is that she's known for being like a really fucked up person. There's a guy, like a taxi driver, that drove me over there. This is like where I have to say, like, Candace, what is wrong with you? Because when he drove me over there, he was like, "This is where you want to go," and I was like, "Well, yeah." And he was like, "I will not. I cannot go further." And I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" And I've known this guy for a long time, so I've never seen him behave that way. He was like, "No." I was like, "What happened?" He was like, "I can't speak on it." What? And this is what I should have been like, but I needed a place. I should have just like followed, been like, all right, well, but he wouldn't tell me. So that's why I was like, you're crazy.
Mhm.
You need me to like do that type of shit today.
Mhm. Mhm.
But that's the type of stuff that where I say like protection and stuff like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Getting to know yourself, like what you're seeing, and like basically reasons why you need protection. So I tell everybody read the Ted Andrews book on protection. It's probably one of the best
See,
ways to understand why.
how do you spell the first name, do you think?
TED.
Oh, Ted. Okay, okay. Ted Andrews,
Yeah, there it is right here.
protection, psychic protection. Okay. And like the salt thing, does that go inside your windows or can you do it on the outside of like your door windows? Do you do it on the inside or the outside or on the track?
I would do it on the ledge. If you do, I mean, you could do it on the outside too. There's a situation where I didn't like the way a man was looking at my children. It's like my ex-husband's
Really?
colleague, and he was just like, this guy would come over and he would look at my children like they were dinner. Um, so I was reached out to one of my witch friends and was just like, "Yo, this is
Mhm.
father. Like he keeps
Mhm.
bringing the guy around, and the guy's creeping me out. What can I do about it?" Because I'm like, sometimes you if you're too emotional about a situation, sometimes
Yeah,
it's not a bad idea to like tap on somebody else's shoulder.
sure. That makes sense.
So she told me what to do, which involved a petition, but
Mhm.
also the salting.
Okay.
Um, and that person never showed up at my house again.
Okay.
I have ran people out of my house with just frankincense and myrrh and an intention.
Okay.
My cousins, like when we have family gatherings, they bring that up all the time. Like, remember when you ran that guy out the house because he was asleep? He was asleep in the bed, and then we were just smoking in the living room, and the guy was just being super disrespectful over and over and over again, and I was just like, I
Right now.
and he's like my cousin's friend that he brought from out of town, so I was just
Mhm.
like, I don't want to put my cousin in a weird place if I do the Candace thing, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So I was just like, magic, here we go. So I just lit a charcoal, burnt some frankincense and myrrh. We all sitting there smoking, just chilling, and out of nowhere he like just breaks out coughing and like running down the street, like not down the street, but like out the house and into the
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
Um, and so as he's doing that, I was just sitting there like, yeah. So I lit this frankincense and myrrh. And then they were like, what? And I was like, yeah, because I wanted him out of here. Because he had
Mhm.
horrible intentions. He was very jealous and very, you meet somebody and they're just like hating on you for no reason. Like, how much
Mhm.
money? Like, why would you ask me that? How much
Right.
do you
Yeah.
gotta pay for this house?
Yeah.
Who are you? Like, those are creepy vibes for
Yeah.
me anyway.
Yeah.
Like, why
Agreed.
would
Yeah.
you do that? And so he never stepped like he had my cousin come in and get his stuff. But a lot of what you do in magic is essentially intention based. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
since I burn that all the time. But am I saying get him out of here? No.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's just a cleanser. It lifts the mood. It does all types of cool stuff.
Yeah. He wasn't matching the vibration anymore, and he had to get out of there.
Energy matters.
It does, and I think that's like my mission. There's like three different levels of um, protection that I like people to know. Ted Andrews would be probably the first level because a lot of people can't get down with it until they know why.
Right.
Yeah.
And then especially like with that situation we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
I found that emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
your emotion or your pathway to you,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you're emotionally connected to somebody in some way, or you let somebody in emotionally, it is the easiest way to have some kind of attack because we all have our natural level of protection, right? A lot of things people might send your way, they'll never come to you because you just have your natural level of protection.
Yeah.
But once you let somebody into your world emotionally, it's kind of like the Troy situation. Like they can just send a Trojan horse in, you thinking everything's cool, and it's not because you kind of let them in. Like that's a real thing.
It is a real thing.
From an emotional perspective, like the emotion. So we've got the physical body, emotional body, ethereal body, mental body, all these bodies that are part of our aura. And then a lot of people don't understand that the emotional body is really like your, say like your steering wheel in life.
Mm.
Right. So if you want to manifest something and you really want to make it happen, you have to really pull into your emotional body to like apply the emotions of success to that to make it happen. Same thing with anything. I mean, positive or negative, that's what it is. But I've work with some people who are deep into like aliens and things like that. And I asked them, what is it about us that they like or dislike, or, what is it that why do they give a shit about Earth and humans? And they said, it's the emotional body. They don't all have that. And we have it.
Mm.
So being that we have it, we're kind of walking around without understanding its true power. I think
Right.
maybe in a couple of movies they might show it where like someone's really angry or upset, and then all of a sudden they break things, or like I think movie fire started, lightning strikes, and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And those types of like shows really kind of give you seeds to make to see like what the possibilities are, but ultimately your true power as a human being is in your emotions. So being led by the nose emotionally, being played with, manipulated, all these types of things emotionally are very serious things.
They are
You
very
can
serious things.
really fuck with people with that. And that's why it's like protecting people, getting people to understand protection. And understanding their emotions as well. And I think that's why the healing part is such a big deal, is because it's all related to your emotions.
Yeah. It makes complete sense. Thank you so much, Aether. This is great. You're wonderful.
Yeah.
Really, really appreciate it. Thank
Very
you so much
talented.
for the reading. Thank you for the information.
Yeah. I love it.
Do you have anything you want to plug? You have anything going on right now you want to plug?
Soultrine.com. We do in-person readings if you're in Indianapolis, and distance readings if it's Reiki, if you are anywhere in the world. So the majority of my clients have been people who received like remote services because I only recently got in office. So yeah, it's just like this, how we are on here. This is how they work with me.
Mm-hmm. And it feels like you're right here with me. So
yeah, well, that's awesome.
it really does. So thank you so much.
Yeah, just if they, at the very least, just come and sign up for the newsletter.
Yeah.
And we put out exclusive content for people. So like today's the full moon. We put out exclusive collective reading for people, and like a ritual for people to do for the full moon.
Cool.
I'm gonna go check that out right now.
Yeah. Should we put our crystals outside tonight?
You put your what outside?
Crystals outside to recharge tonight.
Always. I mean, that's always a good thing. Moon water.
Mm-hmm.
My wife does.
Yeah. Anything. anything that you feel like needs the presence of the moon, if you have time, go out there and do your thing. Just stand out there, bask in the energy and the glow of it, and just talk about or connect with the moon on what you need to let go of and release. So that's what this was about. It was just like the Scorpio full moon and what it's telling us and how to let go.
Yeah. That's good. That's great. Thank you so much. I've learned a whole lot tonight. A lot I can take back with me. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you. I hope we talk again soon.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for trusting me.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for trusting us.
And being trustworthy.
Yeah.
Here's my face. Thank you.
All right, you guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Strangers.
Society.
Welcome to the secret society.
Strangers?